Welcome back, everybody, to this second game of the quarterfinals day. Here we are going to see Infamous Stigma against Paradox InsomniaX. We did see Paradox Insomnia play yesterday. They also had a very strong showing, making it through to this stage of the competition. Now they are probably against the toughest competition they will face so far in Infamous. Today, to join me in this game is going to be Autocorrect. Welcome, Otto.
Hello, everybody. It's your favorite teddy bear Korean streamer sitting here today. I'm super excited to be with you guys today. Looks like we have ourselves a decent match ahead of us here in the quarterfinals. Infamous Stigma, who you all know and love or hate, depending on what team you're rooting for, against Paradox InsomniaX, who we saw, bring out some big guns in the last game and make a quick work of their opponents.
Yeah, they definitely had a very strong showing yesterday. Like I said, they've got much tougher time today. I think that one of Shingy's favorite names is playing today, though. Unfortunately, she's not casting this game. It's going to be Fish the Cat for the side of Paradox Insomnia.
I'll be sure to do her proud.
Well, we are.
It is a very elite in-game name now, I have to say.
Well, one thing I am quite upset about is not getting to cast what are they called again? Sorry, Victoria's Secret. I do like that one.
We can't show favoritism though. As casters, we got to maintain that neutral ground, despite everything in our personal opinions. Like, if I were to say like Infamous Stigma is going to absolutely win this game, that would be not appropriate for us casters to say, right?
We can make calls and say who we think could win. Yeah.
Right now, I mean, well, so what do you think? Who's gonna, where are you putting your monkey balls behind?
Well, I definitely liked the last showing from Infamous. Stigma, I can't remember exactly the last game I cast against them. That was back in like the round of 64, so I'm not exactly sure what comps and what their favorite playstyle was. Getting to this stage of the competition, they're going to have to up their game, like I said, but that last game from Infamous was pretty much a shutout, I would say. They had very strong showing, and I really would expect to see them as an organization being as good as their sister teams.
Yeah, and let's not forget the brothers, C. Alua and K. Alua. Don't underestimate the synergy that brotherhood can bring. Look at Divine Brothers, the Japanese team, Dejiwo and Slash Moon, being second in the world championships and, basically surprising the world coming out here. That synergy is a big part of this game. And a lot of people, they focus on builds, they focus on, strategies, they focus on rotations, but, don't underestimate the power of that teamwork.
Yeah, I really would agree with you there. I mean, when I first started the game, there was very few people who played together, and whenever they did, you had a lot more success in duo and full team party queues. I mean, I played with Shingy most of the games when I first started. We saw a lot of success simply by knowing what each other was doing.
Yeah, and that was really surprising for me there to hear about Colonique moving out of Gangstars and going into Art Alliance, because that means all that synergy he built up, with Iraqi and Gay Vizzle, now he has to kind of redo and relearn. So it was a huge move and kind of upset the whole Vainglory world. But here in Southeast Asia, we don't have that level of teamwork yet. I believe. I think we're getting there, but the competitive scene for SA still has a ways to go, despite being the first region that the game launched back in I think November, December last year.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. We, like you said, SE was the longest standing region, and I just see too much movement out of the team so far. I mean, Colonique is the biggest move we've seen so far, upsetting the NA region, and they've been playing together for a very long time. Just 2 seconds while I get this party going.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see, do they swap rosters here for Stigma, or are they going to stay with the DCK, as I like to call it, the DCK lineup? Shota, Lawless, Mamma Mia, also very well known in the region, very, very strong players in their own rights. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here. And Rain Paradox also I've seen around a bit, and he's quite strong as well. So it just depends on the way they build and the drafts. I think that's another kind of new factor this season is that draft mode, making sure you get those picks. And looks like we're about to get underway.
Yep, on the subject of draft mode, we have just begun and see Infamous again, their sister organization, going for the Fortress ban immediately. We saw that in the last round, and I think it worked for them. They're not going to allow anyone to use a slightly more powerful hero. Obviously, it's counterable, but it just puts so much more effort into it that they maybe don't want to have to use. They just want a normal, clean game, I'd say.
Slightly more powerful. Come on, I'm going to call you out on that, man. I call you out on that. Fortress is ridiculous right now. He's ridiculous. I would say he's the most broken hero of the game right now. Other than possibly a CPOzo, which people really haven't discovered so much yet outside of East Asia, but you got to ban the Fortress, man. You got to ban him. It's just even if his wolves didn't do that much damage, the fact that it takes 3 basic attacks per wolf to drop them is in itself a game changer. Because while you're doing that, you're getting attacked by wolves and attacked by the enemy.
Yeah, well, we did see Blue Ozo being played on the dev stream recently. So, I mean, maybe it's going to start coming around into the other regions more often now.
You heard it here first. CP Ozo broken. OP. Play that in your ranked games. But I didn't say that. Well, looks like we got a full pick here. Infamous has decided to go with that glaive, and the Celeste, who we haven't seen very often. Oh, it's a Rome Celeste. No, just kidding. He's trolling us. No, it's going to be an Arden, of course. They managed to lock down the Arden, which is great for them, because when you play that Celeste, you need a little bit of hand-holding, a little bit of babysitting to really make sure you're not getting focused. Whereas you look at Insomnia, he's going with that tried and true Sky, and the Ringo, of course, with the Catherine.
Yeah, I really do like the side of InsomniaX here. They've got Ringo and Sky, so it's one of the counters to Sky they've got on their own team. It would have been nice if Catherine had been on the opposing team because they could have dealt with her much, much easier. But we did see a very strong glaive showing last round, and Celeste was banned out of both games, so we'll have to see what she can do in this match.
Well, I mean, traditionally in the past, Celeste was a strong main for a lot of people before Sky and those characters came out. So for Infamous was known for having some really, really good Celeste players. And in some of the past tournaments, the highlights reels showed them really just doing a lot of damage to Celeste. But it has been used too often recently, people favoring now that Koshko, Ringo, Arden pairing, some of the other sort of pairings for a while. It was Kestrel for a while, although Kestrel's now kind of gone away. So it's good to see Celeste coming back. I think what Celeste does really well is crowd control. It really allows crowd control to prevent people from coming in on people. Of course, if you've got that overdrive on that Helios, you've got the massive range, and you can just, you have those on-demand flares, which makes it really hard to do any kind of ambush.
Yeah, well, Fishy Cat did try and swing in with a Suri Strike just there onto Lawless. Lawless was taken down very low in the early game there in 1v1 against Ringo. Ringo has got the potential to push her out of the lane very easily. It's going to be a tough early game for Celeste, but if she can get enough farm, like you said, hitting level 8 is a massive power spike with the extra range on her Heliogenesis. The control she does provide, it's more like zoning rather than crowd control, I would say. I'm not sure whether it falls under the same bracket.
By crowd control, what I mean is that you can force the laner into a certain area of the lane, and you can force him to a certain side by putting your Helios, because if it goes near that side, you can just pop a Supernova and he takes damage. So you can control kind of the direction and the space that he occupies in the lane, rather than just allowing kind of kite around.
I think that's zoning.
So English.
Into a certain zone.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay.
Like I was saying, Ringo is going to have a really easy early game against her, but it looks like Kahlua is going to be babysitting Celeste in these early levels to try and help her against the early aggression of Ringo. They're going to be rotating down into the side of Insomnia here, but they're going to be caught in a 2v2 situation, so don't go straight down to the shop. Celeste just going for a little trip around through the jungle back up into the lane here.
Yeah, they haven't really put too much vision in the early game. Just one scout trap there, kind of in a weird spot. No vision in on that tri-bush. So, very likely to go into an ambush. Anytime they go in that area, and you can see how aggressive Insomnia is playing now, they see that glaive isn't there and just manages to steal that heal minion in a cheeky move. Glaive uses Afterburn to get away. Catherine's gonna knocks Catherine back before Catherine can stun him, but they're gonna lose a farm here in the back. And so it's very chaotic right now in the early game. Really not much, kind of mechanic synergy here. Just kind of people going here and there and diving in and running away. It's quite characteristic of an Infamous game, actually.
Yep, they are just like getting whatever farm they can right now. Glaive has done a really good job of counter farming right now, counter invasion, but it's going to result in a 2v3. Arden is trying to teleport back, but Fish the Cat is the first one into the brawl and looks like it's going very, very low. First one to kill in this 2v3. Desolation X is putting out a lot of damage though, and Kahlua uses the boost on himself rather than Daenerys. Both of them are very healthy, trying to teleport back. I don't think InsomniaX are going to be carrying on with this fight after losing Skye so early on. That was not a very good team fight for them, losing her at the beginning of a 3v2.
Yeah, but if you look at the builds, it makes sense because Glaive is running, 6 Sins and a Weapon Blade, and he's got the Swift Shooter, whereas Ringo only's got 1 Weapon Blade and a Swift Shooter, so doesn't have a lot of damage output. Skye definitely has some damage, but it was smart of Glaive to actually go in there and focus and kill off Skye as soon as he could.
Yep, Ringo did have 1,500 gold just there. Spent it on another Weapon Blade and upgrading to a Heavy Steel. So it's a much more powerful items for him right now.
Yeah,
it looks like so far. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to say, had he had that in that previous fight, that would have gone very different. They could have cleaned him out. So, again, the importance of, timing your buys as well. Don't sit on so much gold all the time because you never know, especially in these games. And here comes a fight already. Celeste just pulling out too far there, putting some Helios in, but not really doing any damage. Glaive sticking out front here.
Yep, he comes in with the Afterburn onto Fish the Cat, who goes very low again. It's just one combination of skills from Daenerys that takes him down every single time. There was the Afterburn, followed by the Twisted Stroke, and then followed that up with the now level 6 Glaive using his Blood Song. I mean, Glaive has hit level 6 so fast thanks to that solo jungle XP he's been gaining. With Kahlua babysitting the lane so much, Glaive's managed to gain as much jungle as he can alone, being the first one to hit level 6, and that really showed in that last team fight.
Yeah, and this is a tactic you'll see some teams do here and there. Particularly, you've seen Invincible Armada do this, where they just let Druid get a lot, but the reverse way, the laner getting most of farm. But you do see some instances where the tank sits up in the lane and allows the jungler to get some of the XP, usually because they know that character has a power spike at level 6, and they want to leverage that and push when he gets that power spike, and you can see exactly why that they do that.
Yep, it's going to be very, very tough to deal with this Glaive later on if he continues to farm in this way. He's finished the Tension Bow now, and all the members of Insomnia just only have a 1 Oak Heart right now, so it's not really going to be enough to mitigate the damage of that Tension Bow. It's a very similar build to the last game. The proc is ready, good to go. He's bought a Blazing Salvo as well, so I think this Glaive is going to be a monster for the next couple of levels until something goes in Paradox Insomnia's favor.
Yeah, and he's a whole level ahead now. I mean, they see him coming up, so he's not going to be able to get a gank, but I would definitely see them really pushing hard and putting a lot of pressure, totally invading, stealing a lot of jungle. Glaive right now has that level advantage. He should leverage it as quick as possible.
Yep, definitely. Like, that's a very strong power spike. I like what you're saying about leveraging that. You don't want your power spikes going to waste in these games. It's one big lesson that you'll see from tournaments like this. When a team hits a power spike, they'll be pushing for advantages, pushing for objectives like gold mine, like turrets, like kills. Celeste, you'll see her when she hits level 8, she'll have a decent amount of gold as well right now, ready to spend, but it's the level 8 power spike that you're going to see her starting to use that zoning technique, forcing Desolation X under his turret, denying some farm, I'd say.
Yeah, and there you saw a potential gank there with Fury just overreaching a bit too much in that Merciless Pursuit. Celeste is doing a great job of just playing conservative and staying back and not giving up any of these ganks, and that's really crucial because if you can still maintain that farm, that means you're going to have that early Broken Myth, you're going to have that early, whatever it is, Shatterglass, in her case, Frostburn, and that's going to help your team out a lot because, look, it's only the 7.5 minute mark. Usually your first tier 3 item in the 6th minute for the jungler, and here comes Glaive in with an Afterburn, he hits Desolation X, gets absolutely melted. Ringo, no chance whatsoever as Daenerys comes in with the skill spam. Everything's on cooldown, but they're going to push super hard. Look at the minion candy on the lane minions. They want to go for this turret right now. Skye doing the best to get out of there. Nice death from above. Daenerys doesn't care. 0 care is given, and he gets out, but they do take down the turret.
I'm confused by that gauntlet by Kahlua there. Then at the end, there's a silence from Catherine, and Fish the Cat jumps right into the front of Daenerys, but here goes forward barrage right on top of him, and stunned by the Catherine as well is another kill going over in favor of Paradox Insomnia. I think the gauntlet was a little bit of a bad call there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why. I think he wanted them to dive in on that, but look at Lawless coming in on 3-1. He hits the ultimate, wastes Catherine, but goes down in return. Fish the Cat again super low, but they're going to get the gold mine payoff, so it was #worse for them. And I think, had Arden not gone for that gauntlet, he would have been there to give a Vanguard to Glaive, and Glaive would have ended up killing Sky, Fish the Cat. Unfortunately, he took that full brunt of the barrage right to the face, too. I mean, that's not really smart.
Yeah, when they were underneath the turret, it just seemed to be Glaive was taking turret shots because he'd aggroed the turret, and Arden was taking the forward barrage the whole time. They didn't really maneuver themselves around it that well. Glaive also got caught underneath the death from above. It's as if they just thought that there was no damage coming out, and they didn't really appreciate that it's still a Sky, still has a Frostburn. So they're not going to be getting away if they do get caught underneath those.
Yeah, and it's a good point. And they need to pay attention to the enemy's builds, too, now that, Ringo's got the tension bow, he's got the heavy steel. He's looking quite strong now. Obviously the tension bow is going to fall off a little bit in the late game, but still early game here, so they need to be very careful of this. Daenerys playing really, really aggressively there and is going to need to get bailed out from Arden. But look at the poke damage on him right now.
Oh, and there's the death from above zoning them out as well. Managed to stun Kahlua there. There's the core collapse from Celeste. Fish the Cat is very low again, but it's Daenerys, the first one to go down. Celeste is still level 7, so it doesn't have the range. Here comes the Hellfire Brew from Ringo onto Kahlua. I think he's going to be tanky enough to survive this, and the burn over time isn't going to be enough to kill him either. So they will just disengage from this.
And the combos for Insomnia is really good there. You saw the formation, tight formation. Fish the Cat got melted in the beginning, but used the mobility of Sky to get out of the situation, and that's very characteristic of Sky because they're so mobile. They can really just get in and get out like that. And so, that caused Glaive to overcommit. He got melted. I felt Celeste was a little bit too far removed from that fight, not really, in there to poke damage and put down those healers in the middle of that team fight so much, and, lock down the kill on either Desolation or Fish the Cat. And I think also good combo follow-up from Hellfire as well from Ringo on that.
Yeah, we do see Celeste hitting level 8 right now, so she will be putting out a little bit more damage next time with the increased range. You can see it there. She's using that to double-check the lane bush to keep her safe from any ganks. But that was the first team fight where you saw Glaive unable to completely delete Fish the Cat, and they managed to come out on top with her surviving. So I'd say things are starting to turn around for Paradox. That power spike from Glaive is peaking off a little bit. He hasn't got any more offensive items since the tension bow blazing salvo. There's the death and buff coming down from Fish the Cat, followed by Gauntlet from Arden. Manages to catch Sky and Arden and Ringo. Glaive is in amongst the backline. Ringo is trying to kite away, but both Sky and Ringo manages to put all their damage out onto Celeste. Daenerys managed to take down Ringo first of all. Fish the Cat is now trying to forward barrage away, but there's another afterburn from Glaive, puts Fish the Cat further away, and that's 2 kills going over in favor of Infamous.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when talking about tension bow, the tension bow actually already is gone. The power spike of it is pretty much done already. It's now almost the 12th minute. Luckily they got a little lucky there in that. I think Celeste's formation was off there, being stuck in between, 2 ranged, carries there, the Sky and the Ringo. Not a good place to be. You need to be, behind your tank there. They should have just turned right away and just focused in on Ringo coming down from the bottom part of that bush there. If all 3 of them just turned around and flipped on Ringo, they would have gotten that kill very easily, and then not given up a kill or a death themselves.
Yep, it was not the best targeting from Infamous. They did leave Lawless on that Celeste a little bit high and dry in between the 2 ranged carries. She needs to be putting damage onto AoE effect as much as possible. There's the core collapse, only catches Fury. Fish the Cat is very low again, and it's Daenerys diving the backline onto Ringo. Celeste is caught in the forward barrage. Sky Fury strikes around. Currently it's Fury on top of Lawless, and they're going to be killing Catherine first, and it's Fish the Cat left alive alone right now with very low health. Daenerys is going to be afterburning through that wall, and
will he get the kill?
Fury strike repositioning from Fish the Cat.
Gets a stun. There's a nice Arden Vanguard. He does get the kill, locks it down. Nice afterburn from Daenerys, and there you saw a much better formation from Lawless. You saw they were doing that triangle formation where the 2 were in the front and then Lawless was in back. Got a little bit caught between the Ringo, but Ringo was already so low at that point. Didn't pose much of a threat. They're going to get this 300 payoff. Now it's starting to look a bit more tilted in favor of Infamous, but it's very, very close right now. It could go either way.
I just think that Glaive completely changed that team fight in Daenerys. Instead of going for Fish the Cat this time, switched all of his efforts onto Desolation X. They both have the same amount of defense, only a reflex block for Fish the Cat and Desolation X. So it doesn't really matter who Daenerys goes for. He just needs to be outputting as much damage as possible, and Sky is Surrey striking away from him every other time. So going for Desolation X, who has much less peel potential for like the Surrey strike has, it was a much better decision and managed to take him out of the fight completely. So Fish the Cat was left alone to fight against Lawless and Kahlua.
Yeah, and I think that's something you want to do almost every time as well. I mean, if you've got the scene comp, you've got to understand this guy is going to get away from you. You can't try to lock him down, especially when you don't have a very good stun. Core Collapse is a skill-based stun, so it's really hard to land that, even if you are a VG level player. So I think going for the Ringo first, locking him down with the Afterburn, really smart. You're not seeing good reflex blocks from them, though. They have the reflex block, but they're getting Afterburn every single time anyways.
Yep, I think they're just forgetting that's the main stun of the team, and they're using it to output to stop a bit of damage. Lawless right now is sitting in the back lane with the most health, but she is now caught out a little bit. There is the Core Collapse catching out Ringo, followed by one Heliogenesis. Daenerys has come back into outputting damage onto Fish the Cat. Desolation X, and there comes the Solar Storm throughout, but it misses everybody. Only clips Catherine. Looks like Kahlua is just going to be escaping. Oh, there's a big... I can't remember the name of the Heliogenesis when it explodes.
Supernova.
Supernova.
Yep, there's a supernova. Almost takes out Ringo. But you saw the formation, and that whole part there was just scattered. I mean, Glaive overcommitted. They got caught from the dust from above. He had to afterburn out. When he's gone, that should be the sign for everybody to peel off. But Celeste re-engaged and got caught herself, and that's not what you want to do, especially against a Catherine who can just pop a stun right on you, and then you're dead.
That was really good defense from Kahlua there, managing to keep their tower, and it's still over half health. All he had to do was target a little bit of his damage onto Fish the Cat, who immediately backed off. There's the Warhorn from Kahlua straight down onto the Kraken, knowing that the team of Paradox Insomnia have all teleported home.
It is, but interesting. He used minion candy on that to make them tankier, so it takes them longer to clear the lane, so that they can take the Kraken in the meantime. So a little bit of smart play here. I mean, little subtleties that I appreciate.
Yep, they've led the Kraken so far away that even though Paradox Insomnia did arrive early enough that they could have stolen it if it was in the main spot, they've led it so far away that they would have had to face check 2 bushes to get there.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too. Kahlua with the King playing on Arden went with an additional slow, the Shiver Steel and the Warhorn. So very, very offensive. Sometimes it doesn't pay off for you, but it looks like in this case it is starting to pay off as they're able to lock down that Ringo.
Yep, I think with the problem of Ringo has his speed boost from his V ability, and here comes the team fight with the Gauntlet coming down. Daenerys is diving the back lane immediately, taking out Desolation X with the help of the Solar Storm. Lawless is still full health. Fish the Cat going very, very low, having to use boots and reflex block. But there is the last Heliogenesis from Lawless finishing off that kill. Fury, meanwhile, is trying to get back under her base, but just gets killed on the very entrance, crawling over with that death animation.
You saw that Shiver Steel there, and that was the Shiver Steel. She couldn't go any faster. She was literally walking as fast as she possibly could, and with no energy left for the merciless pursuit. That's going to be GGWP.
First game to Infamous. Well played. So it looks like so far Stigma going following up the Infamous run. They've had 2-for-0 in the last round, 1-0 so far this round. Can they also close it out in a 2-for-0? Do you think that was a very close game, but maybe it's different team comps could change things?
I think they still have a chance. I mean, there was nothing really that convincing to me about the game from Infamous Stigma. I think it could have gone either way in a lot of cases. I think they got a little bit of the worst part of the draft, which I think, had they had a little bit stronger draft, I think they might have actually been able to put up a bigger fight on this. I saw a lot of problems with Stigma's formations, a lot of problems with too much individuality going on in terms of people doing their own thing. I didn't see a lot of synergy from Stigma, and that's quite surprising, but it does leave them open to counters. It does leave them open to somebody like Insomnia coming back in the second game.
Yep, definitely, and they are having a roster change here, so we'll see who will be coming in place of them. I'm not exactly sure because all 3 members seem to have been changed. They do have a full roster of 6, so if we see a complete change, that would be very surprising. We do see the Kahlua brothers both here, the Cialua and Kahlua. So that could be the synergy that you were talking about, could be the advantage that they need.
Yeah, I also think that, if you're looking in the builds too, Glaive was doing some, I think a lot of it was timing in that early power spike there. Glaive was going in really aggressive and early when he had the advantage. And the problem is that had the game gone a little bit longer, he would definitely have fallen off with only a tension boat and a blazing salvo. So I think, if the enemy is in there, the opponent is in a situation again, they need to look at how can they draw out a longer game. Because Infamous is very well known for strong early game pushes, trying to finish games within the 15th minute mark. So if you know that as an opponent, then you have to come up with a counter. You have to come up with a way to extend the game, make it longer, and play on your terms, not on their terms.
Yep, I would say that they did play the whole game as a whole very, very well. They had Glaive being the massive pest throughout the first 15 minutes. He was the one dealing all the damage, getting most of the kills, being right in the back line and being the biggest nuisance. But later on, he switched to more of a utility build after having the Blazing Salvo Tension Bow, mainly frontlining for Celeste, who was the key component. And her Solar Storms coming through, followed up by the cleaning from Heliogenesis, was just exactly what they were doing in teamfights. Like I was saying, the damage switched from being on Glaive to being on Celeste. And I don't think that Paradox Insomnia realized that, and they still thought Glaive was the biggest threat.
Yeah, I also think that, if you're going to Ringo pair up, because I play Ringo a lot as well, and if I pair up against a Celeste, I'm going to be doing a lot of early bowling. I'm going to be able to do a lot of early bowling because it's a Ringo against a Celeste, and Celeste is going to fear me. I didn't see that level coming out of the Ringo in the last game against the Celeste. It almost seemed like Celeste was holding their own, if not even had a little bit of an edge. And that's disconcerting because you should be able to bully Celeste at least a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think the problem with that was that Arden was babysitting the lane so much that it was Ringo alone again in a 1v2 situation. He couldn't bully Celeste. At level 1, he did manage to push her completely out of the lane. She had to go down to the shop and join her team, get a few more potions, etc. But later on, Arden barely left the lane, so there was no opportunity for that. The Glaive, that's why he was so hyper leveled, was because he was getting so low jungle XP, and I'm not sure whether whether Paradox knew that.
Well, I mean, that's where you got to just flutter that bush, and if you see Arden there all the time, then that's a clear sign to your team that you got to invade that jungle because there's only one guy there. So.
Yep. He was also doing a very good job of counter invading. Like we saw very early on, he did get caught out slightly, but managed to secure back camps, get a kill for it as well, even in the 3v2. So I just don't know what Paradox Insomnia can do here to switch things up. And I was slightly wrong before. It's infamous Stigma who have had a roster change up with the Kahluas. I think I mentioned that as being Insomnia.
You're fired. Fired. Get out right now.
And we do see a Ringo softlock. I do think Ringo's very strong this patch. They've got Koshka on the side of Paradox Insomnia. So Ringo, with the Arden backing him up, Ringo obviously was not too successful in that last game, being shot out by the Celeste. So we'll have to see how Paradox Insomnia can counter this. They've gone for Koshka and Blackfeather.
This interesting. They don't have a ranged laner against a Ringo, which is, I mean, a Ringo against a Blackfeather. This should be a massacre. Even with the book eulogies, book eulogies doesn't give that much healing anymore, which is why you don't see that many melee laners. If you're playing against somebody who's a really good Ringo, like I believe Kahlua is, I think it's going to be a mismatch. But let's see.
Well, like you're saying in the last game, Ringo does have the potential to bully out almost anyone, especially melee laners like this. We did see a very strong Blackfeather laner yesterday who could push Ringo out, but I think there was a slight skill tier mismatch yesterday with that one. We'll just have to see how Desolation X can survive this. Fish the Cat will be a very strong jungler on the Koshka. I think it's one of his more comfortable picks. Kahlua going for the Weapon Blade, first of all, definitely looking to be punishing Desolation X in the lane.
Yeah, and again, without the Arden, you're not going to have that level of save ability with the Vanguard. You're going to have a defensive stun, but if Ringo can block that, then you can.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You can see that.
Oh, a little bit of robot voice there. I'm not sure if it's both of us.
Also, Mamma Mia with the weapon Sky. That's really interesting. Double weapon.
Yeah, I wonder.
What
I'm
is that about?
fairly sure it should be Sky going for the crystal next, but maybe there's just some clearing potential that's a little bit stronger with the weapon blade straight away. I
No,
think
that
maybe for these
early
early fights, yeah.
Merciless
Kahlua,
Pursuit comes in on Kahlua. He gets away from that just fine. But again, Paradox showing, really good initiative in the beginning. They're trying to tell that Ringo pass a clear message. Hey, don't mess with our laner. We're going to come for you.
well, there we do see Mamma Mia buying the first crystal bit, so I'm much more happy now seeing her going into that crystal transition. I think it was for the early game fight against Koshka, because if she didn't manage to land the full amount of forward barrage, crystal would have just been absolutely useless.
Although, my whole thing is if you're a Ringo's player and you can't land a barrage, then you have no business playing Sky.
Well, to counter that, they're against the Koshka, who does have the mobility to dodge it, so both players are very high skilled. One of them should be landing it, one of them should be dodging it, so it just comes down a lot to who gets the better positioning more than anything. Fury being punished for coming in with that Merciless Pursuit still at level 1 without the Stormguard shield. It looks like Kahlua is going to be with Kahlua in lane for a very long time here. Arden is being an absolute menace right now. They're going to try and force Blackfeather out, and I'm just confused why Fury isn't trying to keep hold of that lane bush. Fish the Cat is now alone. There comes the Suri Strike through the wall onto Fish the Cat. Forward barrage. Fish the Cat is very, very low and taken down. There's the first kill going over to Infamous.
Yeah, I think what you saw there is a miscommunication from the team. You shouldn't rotate down like that in front view of your enemy because that's a clear sign to come and get me, and that's unfortunately what happened there.
Yep, they saw Fury wasn't going down to join the Koshka, and when she was left alone, Catherine would have had to come all the way around the wall to do anything to help her. So it was very good timing for Infamous to rotate down. They reacted immediately, which is exactly what I like to see. Kahlua is going to be teleporting back, has 1,800 gold to spend. There's the heavy steel and boots, so no tension bow this time.
No, I mean, I've also been changing my build on Ringo a lot more these days and going with that Sorrow Blade first and the attack speed rather than the tension bow. I've just found that the damage with the Trolling Silver, pushing the laner can do a lot more damage than the tension bow proc, because tension bow proc, once you get it, it's hard to finish the kill, whereas if you can just maintain hits on target with a heavy steel, you can get the kill a lot easier.
Yep, I think it just comes down to people are more used to playing against tension bows now. They know exactly what's happening. They know not to just run away straight away. There's not much follow-up. Koshka is jumping in and dealing damage really well, but she gets punished for it this time. She was doing well at just poking damage at them, but Mamma Mia, with the superior range against the two melee heroes, is just zoning them out so badly here, and Tesseract is going to have to teleport home. Fish the Cat is very low as well. I'm not sure whether it's safe to stick around.
And I like the Mamma Mia's movement there, where he just rotated up in that little pocket there, just in case to catch them if they're going to teleport home there with that low health. He could go in and get the kill, but then he just went ahead and counter jungled, and it was a really smart play from him to just be that little piece of eyes there, so that you can just make sure.
Yep, you know exactly where everyone is. I mean, Kahlua, the Ringo Kahlua right now is just punishing anyone that gets close enough, using the full range benefit of against those melee heroes. And I think it's really starting to suffer because they can put out a lot of turret damage as well. Tesseract does have to deal with these minions or risk losing out on that farm. I think
Yeah, and you can see how aggressive they are with the double laning there, even forcing Fish the Cat to come to the lane. So they need to really do something here. And here comes in the Koshka, and Koshka's diving really deep. Is going to get the kill. Nice Vanguard in the end. And the counter, Koshka goes down to the turret aggro. And what a great Vanguard from Kahlua on that.
That was so clutch. It hit just at the same time as Koshka did. I think if it was a millisecond later, that wouldn't have saved him. But yeah,
you can see how aggressive they are in the lane. It's like double laners, triple laners. The lane is where all the action is, but with that quick clear in the farm from Mamma Mia, and I think that's why you're seeing some of that weapon blade in the beginning, is to clear some of that farm with the basic attacks. And you're just seeing Koshka not even being able to build out that aftershock until maybe in the 7th minute here.
And it looks like Koshka is coming from behind onto Mamiya. Fury is the target right now, but Fish the Cat is in the middle of all three right now. Being a melee hero, there's the Suri Strike from Mamiya to get out, but Fish the Cat does go down very, very fast. Desolation next target, and he's going to go down next with that strong weapon power damage from Kahlua. It's just so consistent.
Not a smart move from Fish the Cat to dive in like that. I think maybe counting on having a little bit more damage on that twirly there with a follow-up, but not smart at all. And you can see how tight the formation is. You know, even in Spectre's game, you can see how tight the formation is. They're stacked up really, really close. And against a comp like this, where you don't have a strong AoE damage, it's actually a smart move.
Yep, well, the Koshka did manage to get a lot of twirly death stacks there and a lot of damage onto all three, which maybe was a little bit of a downside to them staying so close together. But if Fish the Cat had a little bit more backup there, they could have really turned that team fight. It just seemed they were going in one at a time. Theory was the first one, took a lot of damage from being caught out. Fish the Cat came in from behind and tried to get a 1v3 going, and then Desolation X came in after Fish the Cat was already dead and Fury was running away. So just not the best timing from InsomniaX there. Kahlua is going to be caught out, face checking that bush, but does use Vanguard back to Ringo see Kahlua. And there's the Yummy Kinetic Frenzy from Fish the Cat onto Mamiya. There's Koshka goes down first. Fury is the next one to be caught out, but there's Death from above trying to catch out Desolation X. The turret is already down, so they can dive really far down this lane. Fury still trying to get home, but there's the forward barrage going straight through the Stormguard shield, and there's an ace going over in favor of Infamous.
Yeah, and you saw Mamiya doing a good job there to crowd control, to push Catherine down instead of up, using the barrage, and then using the Surge Strike to reposition and get the kill there. I think the other thing too is Koshka once again with a bad choice to initiate with that Yummy Catnip Frenzy, putting herself right in the middle of the enemy, easy target. You can take damage while you're doing the ultimate. It's quite slow as far as these ultimates go, and you know when you're sitting there with the sky, putting a full barrage on you, you're gonna melt, and that's exactly what happened there.
Oh, I'm fairly sure it was the sky she used the Yummy Kinetic Frenzy on. Because the Hellfire Brew came out after that on top of her, because Kahlua was already channeling the Hellfire Brew, and the damage hit at that time.
Stacked with each other, so
yeah, they're more of a caster's curse with this tight positioning, like you were saying.
Fixed camera, where you're just staring down from the top below. Sometimes makes it difficult to see who's stacked up on who.
Yep, there are 7 kills in favor of Infamous right now, and a 6 and a little bit K gold lead. I think Infamous are in the driving seat of this game once again, a little bit more convincing than the last game, if anything.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's where that synergy is coming in with the two brothers there, making a difference. I think because you're seeing, you know, the Ringo, which needs a little bit of that help. You know, if you have somebody like an Arden that can kind of foreshadow and understand where you're moving and how you're moving, then it makes it so much easier because you can just rely on that and do what you need to do as a laner.
Yep, understanding each other's aggression levels is key. And here's the mini candy onto the minions. They're going to do another turret push here. Theory is level 6, so going down very, very fast, taking a lot of damage. There's Death from above. Desolation X and Fish the Cat are very, very low. There's the Hellfire Brew. Can she make it back to the base in time, though? One more tick, but she makes it back just in time. Desolation X is caught out by the forward barrage, uses Rose Fence to get out, but there's another turret going down in favor of Infamous.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, a little subtlety to take note of is the you can peel off the turret and go after that kill as you saw Mamiya doing when the turret's about to blow anyway. So you know your other team is taking down the turret, then you're actually going ahead and putting hits on that anybody who's overstaying that turret and possibly picking up the kill.
Yep, was very good synergy, like you're saying. A lot of that is showing in this game. It was good. They weren't taking too much turret damage either. It wasn't until the very end that they started really committing onto the kills. They were zoning them out away from the turret to try and keep the minions alive while they destroyed it. And then as soon as it was a guaranteed turret destruction, they engaged onto those trying to get some kills. But
yeah, the Death from above did a lot because it took them from almost full health to basically half, and that forced them to back off as well. So that was great that you got that double stun there on that Death from above.
On both carries as well, they'd already zoned Fury out because being only level 6, she's taking a lot of damage from that forward barrage. And it looks like Paradox and Insomnia are just caught inside their own base right now. Kahlua on Arden is just walking straight in, fish the cat,
nice
the gauntlet wall, and immediately deleted with that Ringo Sky combination.
Great gauntlet, really just separated out Koshka right at the last minute. That was really nice gauntlet. One of the best I've seen in the tournament so far.
Desolation X is overstaying a little bit, does have to rely on a fountain from Fury to survive there, and they are aggressing onto the next turret. Could be a possible overstay. There's Death from Above trying to keep them away from Mamma Mia right now. And there is the Yummy Kind of Frenzy, not blocked by Kahlua, but there's the Vanguard from Arden trying to save her. Desolation X is very, very low and not going to be able to finish that kill, but Fish the Cat taking forward brush to the face. I'm not sure who could come out on top here. There's the Suri Strike to put her right in the middle of things. Mamma Mia picking up the kill, taking up 2 kills right now, and Fury is the last one left alive. And I think they're going to be diving for this ace now. And there is the ace from Mamma Mia and the forward barrage. They're probably going to get this last turret and possibly finish the game. Yep.
That's GG. And what you're seeing there is seeing a really pro Sky player, really understanding the limitations of how much health and damage you can deal out, and really understanding the positioning. And that's so crucial.
Yep, they are being forced back away from the Vein Crystal right now. Kahlua sacrificing himself. Mamma Mia is using the forward barrage again. I've seen this the last fight as well, but Fish the Cat managing to dodge out on that. Here comes the Ringo, the fountain clutch saving Fish the Cat, but here is a 3v1 with Ringo running for his life right now.
Yeah, and I think you just saw barrage being missed there. Mamma Mia needed to cancel the barrage earlier and not sit and shoot air while Koshka is running next to him. Had he canceled it a little bit earlier, might have been able to pick up that kill, even though the fountain came out, or at least get away a little bit more, let Ringo come in and kind of help out.
Yep, she did the right thing trying to kite away. Maybe went too far up instead of along the lane. I think if she'd gone towards Ringo in a straight line, they could have maybe finished that 1 kill at least. Even if Sky went down, Ringo is probably powerful enough to deal with the other 2. But we are sitting on Mamma Mia with an Eve and Broken Myth right now. I'm surprised not to see a Frostburn against such mobile enemy junglers. Fury coming in the last minute with the Merciless Pursuit, trying to steal that gold mine, but there's another gauntlet. Managed to catch Fish the Cat again, who takes a lot of damage from this Ringo. Even the fountain can't save her. And there's the forward barrage onto Desolation X. She gets absolutely melted. Fury is the last one left alive again, unfortunately. There comes the Hellfire Brew, and it looks like Mamma Mia is just going to be heading towards the enemy Vein Crystal to try and end this game. There's a 10-minute death timer for Koshka. I just think the death timers are too short right now. Every team fight that they're winning, they're not going to be able to finish it because they're back far too soon, and it's just death after death after death.
Well, I think the key thing about that fight was they forced a fight when Koshka didn't have Yummy Cat and Frenzy up, and that was pretty good for Infamous, because they knew that she couldn't lock down that Ringo, and Ringo was able to freely put some of that damage, and they're just seeing that there.
On this Kahlua going down for the efforts there, Death from Above trying to zone them away from their own base, and they're trying to make sure they actually get the kills this time right in front of the Vein Crystal so they can end this. And there's the forward brush just being cancelled like you said, but they're going to be switching onto the Vein Crystal, going to be ending this one. Mamma Mia is got just enough energy for one last forward brush.
Yep, and that's going to be GG.
Yep, 2-0 again for another Infamous team, and that was another strong showing, and that's 2 out of our 4 semi-finalists decided for the day.
Yeah, and you know, Infamous is very strong there. I think you saw obviously that chemistry coming in, playing a big role in that, and actually a pretty good call from the team manager from Infamous to make that roster change, I believe, because there was a little bit of disjointed play in the previous game. Not in danger of losing the game, but obviously this game much smoother, mechanics much more on point. Mamma Mia coming out with the strong carry on that. Sky 9-1-6, even without additional crystal damage. So, you know, normally you're going to see a lot of Skies building out that Frostburn or Shag Glass to get that punch of crystal damage, at least on, you know, the Death from Above. But Mamma Mia, you know, confident in those movements and getting the full barrage. In most cases, you know, getting the full barrage on the target, and that makes a huge difference. Even without a lot of crystal power, you're still going to melt.
Yep, even without a Frostburn, she was managing to stick to those targets very, very well. I mean, it was a very short game, so I'm not surprised that there wasn't more big tier 3 items. They did really well with what they had. They were in a very dominating position. Ringo with a much more situational Bonesaw this time against 2 heroes who you had one has a Pauldrons, one has the tier 2 armor, so it was much better timing for a Bonesaw this time from Ringo. We saw yesterday there was a Ringo who decided to go for Bonesaw, even though the enemies didn't have any armor. Kahlua still has 2 of the lucky strikes to back up with some big crit damage, though. So even against those 3 fountains on Paradox Insomnia, they just could not survive the onslaught from Infamous.
Yeah, and I think the key thing to remember about Bonesaw is not only is it counter to armor, but it gives you 50% attack speed. So if you've got a Sorrow Blade already, plus that 50% attack speed, plus your Twirling Silver, that's going to allow you to do a lot of damage over time very quickly. And with a couple of Lucky Strikes there, even just one Lucky Strike, you're going to get some of that crit as well. And plus your Heroic perk, your Double Down, gives you a crit. So I think that's really smart. The key thing for Ringo here was he wasn't being focused on so much. They tried, and they locked him down once. And the one time they locked him down with the Yummy Captain Frenzy, Paradox won that fight. That should be a clear indication of who they need to go after. But, leaving Sky just alone and getting caught by some of those death from aboves makes it really hard to get in on him. And that's, you pretty much need a little bit of stronger, I think, initiation from Furry. I think Koshka doing some of the initiation, especially in the early game, and getting punished for it, I think that needs to be a clear sign that they need to work on the initiation timings. They need to have Furry be a lot more aggressive, because as a Catherine, you can be. You've got that Storm Guard. You can go in and bush check a little bit more maybe than an Arden can in some cases. So I think that's something they need to work on in their next turn around. But it's not going to be this turn, because Stigma moves on.
Yep, congratulations to them, and commiserations to Paradox InsomniaX. We are going to take a small break before coming back for the 3rd match of the day to decide our 3rd semi-finalist, and that will be between Infamous Legion, the 3rd Infamous team that is still in the tournament, against Victoria's Secret. So we'll be back after a very short break. Stick around for that one.